Hey everyone, thanks for joining. Of course, here with Aras, and we got a little guest as well. I'll let Aras introduce, but of course, we're gonna do an exciting video. We're gonna actually get to see some stuff, some behind-the-scenes footage, I guess, and go from there. But first things first, Aras, how are you?
Doing well. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Who's joining us?
So we got Lucas here. He's the president of LATAM. Lucas, you want to just introduce yourself?
Hi there. Thanks for having us. Yeah, my name is Lucas Nosiglia. I'm the president of LATAM. Basically, I'm in charge of all the facilities here in Santa Marta, on top of all the Latin American projects of the company. This is essentially our supply chain, where we built our capabilities on that side to supply our medicinal and pharma programs in the region.
Awesome. Oh, sweet. Well, hey, nice to meet you. And I'm sure everyone else is pretty excited. But so, Ross, what do we have today? What's the plan?
So we're in Santa Marta, which is the tropical coast of Colombia. This place is the optimal place in the world to grow cannabis. It's 12 hours of sunlight all year round. It's very dry, and you can probably hear the wind in the background. That's because the wind is actually coming from the Sierra Nevada mountains. And what you can see there is the Sierra Nevada mountains, and we're in the foothills of it. Inside one of the greenhouses and show you kind of how we do the cultivation here. But what's really interesting is this place is USDA organic certified from a process point of view. So everything we do is organic, everything we do is organic certified, everything we do is extremely sustainable. So one of the rooms that we're going to actually pinpoint today is going to be the mother's area. So I just want you guys to take a look. So these are the beautiful mothers, and we can take you guys to one of the commercial greenhouses as well. So these are all the genetics that we can serve. On the pharmaceutical front, everything we do is from clones. On the more industrial agricultural front, everything we do is from seeds. But this is a nice, view of what the plants look like. You can see they're very healthy, very optimized. And because the environment is so fantastic for the cultivation here, there's very little intervention we have to do other than just giving them water. So we don't have to add additional electricity. We don't have to add air conditioners and fans. As you can see, there's no air conditioners and fans here. We do have some supplementary lighting, which is just 6-watt LED lights that we use to keep some of the plants into vegetation. The cannabis plant needs more than 12 hours of sunlight to grow, and it needs perfectly 12 hours of sunlight for it to produce the flowers, to go into the flowering stage. So in Santa Marta, we're always flowering unless we're supplementing a little bit of light for vegetation. So this kind of gives you a nice green view of what actually takes place here. These are all THC and CBD and CBG dominant genetics that we grow. Anything you want to add, Lucas?
No, essentially here we have on one side of the shade house, we have the mothers that we keep to preserve the genetics, all the genetics that we've been characterizing and optimizing throughout the last years. And on the right, we have the commercial mothers. So those mothers we're going to use for cloning process, right? So on the left, preservation, on the right, cloning for commercial, let's say.
I think it would make sense, if you would agree, Jason, we pause and we go to the next facility so you can actually see the size of the plants in the commercial stage as well.
Yeah, perfect. Let's do it.
Okay.
So we've changed area a little bit. Aras, do you want to tell people where we are?
Yeah, we're in one of the commercial greenhouses. So you're going to see some plants that are about a week away from harvest. So let me maybe show you guys some of the plants first. So these giant bad boys here, you can see they're girls. They're all leaning over now because they're quite heavy. But if you see the size of the buds, quite massive. So these plants, on average between 400 to 500 grams per plant. They're expressing very high amounts of cannabinoids, and as Lucas said, we've been advancing and optimizing these genetics. So we can now produce these out of seed. So we can produce feminized seeds that are standardized or from clones, as we were saying earlier. But these plants are expressing on the THC side up 20 to 22% THC, the CBD genetics up to 20% CBD. We have CBG genetics that are about 17% CBG. And yeah, this obviously, as you can see, again, there's very little intervention required. So this validates the cost model in producing in a low-cost jurisdiction such as Colombia for the pharmaceutical purposes. And again, we take these raw materials, we're extracting them in-house, we're isolating those cannabinoids, we're putting them into our medical and pharmaceutical products. And as long as it meets our standards, which obviously we do all the testing, we can then produce the Avicanna more advanced medical and pharma products, but combined with low-cost input materials. So Lucas can touch a little bit on the pricing and the cost per gram, etc.
Yeah, so our cost now will be anywhere from 2 to 4 cents, depending on the cultivation model we're using. We also the outdoor/shade house model where the human intervention is minimum, especially at this stage of the year. This wind flow is amazing for the flowering stage. We have like very healthy cultivation, and basically that's one of the reasons why we're organic certified. It's not easy to be organic certified, especially in outdoor conditions when it comes to cannabis, but being the fact that we are in the foothills of Sierra Nevada and we have this wind effect, this is basically an optimal place to do this. So that's basically it. And what Aras says, throughout these years, we managed to combine the agronomic performance of the varieties with the yield. So now we have plants that are already adapted to the foothills of Sierra Nevada, Santa Marta, and combining both agronomic performance so we can grow them at scale and good yields both on CBD, THC, and combined ratios of THC, CBD, and rare cannabinoids such as CBG.
Wow. All right. Awesome. No, thank you. 2 to 4 cents, Aras. That's not bad.
I mean, yeah, we're what, like 1/20th the cost of Canada or United States, right? And this is a federal legislation here, so everything we do, like we have to cultivate the THC, so we can in fact export THC in the finished products or in extracts, where obviously the U.S. hemp farmers cannot. Producing very, very, very CBD cultivars as well, which again could have some THC. So you can have a CBD extract where we put crude oil that does have content of THC that's up to 3 or 4%. So that would not work for a U.S. hemp farmer. And in Colombia, a non-psychoactive cultivar, like a CBD cultivar, can have up to 1% THC, where in the U.S. it's 0.3. So that's again why we have better genetics. But again, what you can see is in one of these greenhouses, there's very little intervention. These beautiful plants, and they're just growing very healthy on their own with massive colas and massive buds, and again, 15 to 20% cannabinoid within the biomass, which is quite impressive.
Yeah. Oh, awesome. Well, hey, this has been a crazy video. Like we said, behind the scenes. Curious, these plants look pretty tall. How tall are they?
So these are a sativa dominant genetic that we're using for CBD. So you can see some of these plants. I'm 5'9", so they're taller than me, right? So they're 6 foot tall plants generally, and again, massive size buds. What's really cool for the cannabis cultivation guys, these plants are only vegetated for 4 weeks. Wow. So they're only vegetated for 4 weeks, and then they grow this tall in the flowering cycle because of the environment. It's just the right place to be, and it's obviously very nice to have the mountains behind the scenes there, right?
Yeah, and at this stage of the year, we take the shades out because of the wind, so we get the airflow into the structures. And something interesting from what I was saying is this is basically a hybrid plant between sativa and indica. We get the structure and some agronomic performance of a sativa, but then the flowering period of an indica. Because here we can basically have up to 6 cycles a year, so we want the flowering period of an indica while still having the performance of sativa, right?
So that's important as well. Like for outdoor cultivation, for example, the U.S. hemp farmers or some of the guys that are going to be growing CBD or THC genetics, they can have 1 harvest a year if they're doing outdoor. If they use autoflower genetics, they may have 2. Per square foot, we have 6 harvests a year. And we're 35 harvests in. This business unit is designed to supply Avicanna, but it is also designed to be its own supplier of other pharmaceutical and medical-oriented companies that are looking for those standards.
Yeah, no, incredible. We hear the wind, so
it's a bit tough to do this video here, but we're doing it anyways.
Yeah, no worries. Oh well, thank you, and sorry for those who have made it this far that are listening to the wind, but hopefully it's been extremely insightful and interesting. Aras, anything else you wanted to share with people?
Just my final note. Look, we're a biotech company. We started R&D and clinical trials 5 years ago. We started cultivation 3 years ago. But unlike many of the other Canadian licensed producers that went into 10 countries to establish footprint, we chose Colombia. And in Colombia, where again many of the large producers failed, we succeeded in building an infrastructure, and that's because we have a very strong management team here. We have very strong Colombian partners on the ground. And that's why we were able to succeed in a jurisdiction that everybody else failed. And the outcome of that is really this beautiful, low-cost vertical integration that we take a lot of pride in. And we ended up being very right about that. So I think that's it as sort of a wrap up. But here we have about 480,000 square feet of cultivation space, all extraction in house. We can do up to 300 kilograms a day of biomass. I know it's hard to say all this during the wind, but yeah, that's some sort of a macro.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to just do a 180, because the wind's so much better when you're pointing it like that. So, curious question, maybe just to put some numbers in front of people. You're mentioning how many harvests you're doing. Do you want to talk, 480,000 square feet? Do you want to talk about kind of how much cannabis that is?
Yeah, so the capacity is about 3,000 kilograms or 3 tons a month. Currently, we're not producing at full capacity just because the market's not there. Currently, we're producing at about 25% of our capacity to keep the costs low, keep the OPEX low until we see more and more demand come from the Avicanna finished products from our partners. But the capacity is about 3 tons or 36 tons a year.
Wow. Incredible. Well, awesome. Well, hey, Aras, thanks for doing this. This was awesome. Nice to meet you as well. So this was fantastic. And I invite anyone who has questions to, drop them below. And, if there's other things they want to see, perhaps, I know the previous video was pretty cool with some of the videos that we showed, kind of the overview of what you guys are doing down there in Colombia. But Aras, thanks so much for joining.
My pleasure. Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Bye.
Bye.